In this video, we will learn in detail about configuration of BPDU guard, the features of BPDU guard, followed by the lab. BPDU guard feature is used to protect the layer 2 spanning tree protocol topology from BPDU related attacks. So what is BPDU? BPDUs are nothing but your data information. It's just that it's a bridge protocol data unit, and they are the data information which is exchanged between the switches, and it can be port numbers, it can be the port priorities, the cost, the IP, the address of your switch, and so on. And usually this plays a vital role during your root bridge election in spanning tree protocol, root bridge election. Okay, and in order to make sure that we safeguard our switches from any kind of BPDU related attacks, we can use BPDU guard feature. Secondly, the BPDU guard feature must be enabled on the port that should never receive BPDUs. So when we want to ensure that our switches does not receive any BPDU attacks, we can enable this feature. And especially we can add a end user device like a laptop, a server, or a workstation, and enable this so that the end user device does not have any kind of BPDUs. Okay, so we can also enable PortFast here, and that's what it says here, that PortFast can be enabled only on access port. So this port over here, which is connected from the switch and your end user device, it's an access port, and you can enable PortFast here, and your end user devices will not have any BPDUs. And BPDU guard features can be enabled globally. That means we can enable on all the interfaces on the switch using global configuration mode. But in case if you just want to enable on certain port numbers, let's assume that you have a port fast Ethernet 1 or 2 and so on, you can enable this feature using per interface, that is on individual ports. And finally, when a BPDU guard enabled port receives BPDUs from the connected device, the BPDU guard disables the port, and the port status has been changed to error disabled. So what does this mean? It says that whenever you have a switch here, okay, and you have another switch connected accidentally, which you are not supposed to be connecting because you have already enabled a port fast, and you're saying the switch that you are not going to send any BPDUs. You are going to only communicate to my end user devices. But if you connect it, so there is definitely BPDUs coming in, right? So there's a loop between these switches. So I want to avoid this, and I can enable BPDU feature here, BPDU guard feature, so that this port over here will go to error disabled automatically. Okay, so this is going to shut down. There will be no communication between these two switches. But if you want to exchange the switch to a laptop, maybe another end use device, at that time you can just bounce this port over here, okay, by shutting down the port and then no shut. So this gets this interface up and running, and you can connect back your laptop. So we will learn in details now with a lab. So let's get started with a lab. So I have a switch and two pieces over here. I have not done any configurations, and let's see the transition from listening and learning status to a forwarding state with 30 seconds delay initially. Post that, we will then configure PortFast. So I'm going to connect this PC 0 to my switch 0 here, and let's see that delay. I go here and show spanning tree. It's listening with the 15 seconds delay. Yeah, it's now learning, still learning. Finally, it is now changed to forwarding state. So it has taken altogether 30 seconds for this transition. But in large scale industries, we do not want to um, have this delay. So we can enable port fast on our switches so that any end user devices when connected will have the status immediately transition to forward status. So let's go ahead and enable port fast on all of my switches. So I'll go to global configuration mode. Okay, and I say interface range fast Ethernet 0/1 till 24. Okay, and I want to enable port fast, so I can say spanning tree port fast. Okay, so it's enabled now, and let's just now try to connect my PC1, and you will not see that delay here. Yes, so it has immediately transitioned now to forwarding status. So I say show spanning tree, and it is in forwarding status. But now, what if I connect a switch? Yeah, if I connect a switch, the results in layer 2 loop, which we do not need because we are not wanting to have a BPDU guard. Sorry, we don't want to have a BPDU attacks. So when I connect these two switches, definitely a trunk is formed, but there is a loop. I want to disable this. I don't need to have communication between these two switches. And how do I go further? I can enable BPDU guard on all of my interfaces and say the switch not to send any BPDUs or not to receive any BPDUs when I connect any external switch to it. Okay, so I can go to global configuration mode, and so I go to global configuration here, and I want to enable this on all my interface. So I say interface range fast Ethernet 0/1-24. So spanning tree BPDU got enable. So you can notice that after some time, this port over here, the fast Ethernet 0/3 will go to error disable state, and you will just get that error in just a while. So let's just wait. In the meanwhile, I will also like to take a few switches here and try to connect them. Yeah, you can see that this port has gone to error disable state, and you can see that error coming up. Yeah, so this port here that we see fast Ethernet 0/3 has got the BPDU guard enabled, and it has got into port disable state. So if you connect any switches, the BPDU are blocked by this port, okay, which is present on my switch. because I have enabled BPDU guard on this switch. But what if I just want to remove the switch and add my laptop? Okay, in that case, I will need to bounce this interface. I need to shut this interface down and then turn it on. So what I can do is let me just go to this interface. Just go to the interface past 8190/3. I'm going to shut this port now and then remove this switch. Um, just try to delete this. And now I will connect one of my laptop here. So let's check now. Since I have not turned this port on yet, so it's still having no communication. So I'll now go ahead and give no shut command in order to turn on my interface. Yes, so it's on. Okay, so all we have done is we have tried to do enable BPDU guard feature on my switch here, and then we have tried to ensure that no BPDUs are allowed to my switch where I have configured the BPDUs and PortFast for my access port. And even if the BPDUs are received on this switch, they are blocked by ensuring that the port connected towards these switches have been in error disabled status. And once you just bounce this port, you can connect your end user device to get this error disabled port function like a normal port. Okay, so I hope that this video has been helpful to you all. See you in the next video.